It's been a nightmare start to the season for the North Carolina football team. Whatever could go wrong has gone wrong as the injuries and losses pile up. After falling to Georgia Tech 337 last Saturday, the Heels are 14. But if Tar Heels head coach Larry Fedora needs to find a source of hope, all he has to do is look at the other sideline this Saturday. Just a year ago, Notre Dame coach Brian Kelly was suffering through his own misery. The 2016 Notre Dame team closed the month of September at 14, had fired defensive coordinator Brian Vangerter and was on its way to a 48 finish, but here come the Irish into Chapel Hill just 12 months later with a 41 record and all sorts of momentum following 3 consecutive decisive victories. Notre Dame is 172 all-time against North Carolina, with a Tar Heels' last victory in the series coming at Kenan Memorial Stadium in 2008. Notre Dame at North Carolina when Saturday, October 7 at 3:30 p.m. ET TV channel ABC spread Notre Dame 14. 3 things to watch. 1. Brandon Wimbish's foot. The Notre Dame quarterback has had problems with his accuracy in recent weeks, but the bigger issue now appears to be his foot. Whether he hurt it last week during the game against Miami, Ohio or after is unclear. All that is known is that Wimbish was in a boot early this week. His status for the game is up in the air, and even if he plays, an injury to his foot limits a huge part of his game. Ian Book is next in line, and though the sophomore has seen action in 4 of the 5 games played this year, starting on the road against an ACC team would be a new experience. 2. Limiting Notre Dame big plays. At times, North Carolina's defense has played pretty well, but allowing big chunk yardage has doomed the Tar Heels. They have given up 11 plays of more than 40 yards, which puts them in a tie for 123rd out of 129 FBS teams. The Notre Dame offense has thrived on big plays, ranking number 4 nationally with 12 plays of 40-plus yards. North Carolina is particularly susceptible to big plays in the run game, and 9 of the Irish's biggest yardage plays have come on the ground. 3. Tar Heels' offensive balance. Injuries have decimated the UNC offense, but Miami, Ohio moved the ball on the Notre Dame defense last week, so Carolina should feel like it can have success, too. To do this, the Tar Heels must establish some balance. That means developing an effective running game, something that has been a struggle so far. Jordan Brown is averaging 5 yards per carry, but last week he had only 8 attempts. He did have 9 receptions, and because the Heels got down early, they were forced to throw the ball. But Brown has to become a bigger threat running the ball. Final analysis. Mentally, North Carolina can't be in a good place right now. It was going to be a rebuilding year due to the personnel losses from last year's team, but a sluggish start, due in part to losing 13 players to season-ending injuries, has to have the group wondering how bad things can get. It doesn't help that red-hot Notre Dame is on its way to Chapel Hill. While the Irish have not been ravaged by injuries the way North Carolina has, they do have some players dinged up in the offensive backfield. Besides Brandon Wimbish, running backs Josh Adams and Tony Jones Jr. both left last week's game with leg injuries, and Dexter Williams was held out altogether. Despite the 5,217 final score, Notre Dame was far from perfect against the Redhawks. Against this banged-up Tar Heels team, though, the Irish can again be far from perfect and still win. Prediction: Notre Dame 34, North Carolina 21, written by John Kinn, who is part of the Athlon Contributor Network and a college football fanatic. Kinn has been writing about recruiting for the Irish Sports Daily for 10 years. Follow him on Twitter at JohnRKinn.